Amy. Everybody else gets Amy. I want Amy. It was really. Thank you. Thank you. We'll call you. Thank you. They can't hear us. Those are cool glasses. You look like a movie star. You look like a movie star. Not so much. Back on. Back on. No, you really, it does a whole thing. Yeah, they're big and they're very in right now. Big glasses are in. I don't have no idea why I know that. I just pretended to know that. It's true. Sunglasses. Yeah. Yes, we have a little testing moment. Yeah, you're going to do a little, I'm going to have a fun intro to you. I don't know, James is doing something. I don't know. Oh, okay. You're doing close to you. Just literally just from the very beginning.
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
And then.
Just from the very beginning. Yeah. Yeah. Or no, you've already practiced. Whatever you've done. Whatever you've practiced is all perfect. It's painful to make you. You can go away. But there's an ending. Yeah, there's a moment.
And you'll
Amy.
no, it's gonna be a big, ugly pause. The denouement.
I know, right?
E, when we're on E.
Yeah, we're doing E. Yeah, you can go up when I'm on E.
Okay.
But there's a couple. Yeah, I think. You know how I am. I'm just gonna literally make this really conversational.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Just
so
like
you
you.
want me to talk some more?
Sure.
Don't say that.
That would be fun too. You don't give me another creative idea. Careful.
Candle deliberately here.
It is. It is in the. Is it in the? It doesn't have to be.
I didn't know if you needed it in the shot.
I don't. No. I don't know yet. I'm testing out.
Oh my God, you changed your outfit.
Second act, honey.
Your tea just fell.
My what? It's okay.
2, 3, 4.
Please. Please. I'll be doing something from Dreamgirls.
Obsessed with you.
Welcome back, everyone. How was the Indian food? Wasn't it great? I don't even eat Indian food. It was amazing.
Absolutely.
And I've lived here. I've been here 6 years. I never knew that place existed in this. Never been there. Karen said. I said to Karen. I said, just tell Pookie's we'll be there on Thursday night and Friday night. She goes, why don't we go to the Indian restaurant? I goes, where's that? Never been there.
Seriously.
Okay. I'm going to wait for you to tell me to start, Thor. Tiffany, Reverend Tiffany Cartalian Milne, don't forget you are treating us into this section. If you ever read your papers, you'd know that. So come on up here, we're singing. Welcome back, everyone, to Minister Idol. No one has been voted off yet, except Reverend Dr. Tiffany Cartalian Milne. Yes. So give it up for Reverend Dr. Tiffany. Okay, so we're going to start with a little song. I am opening. So join us.
I am opening.
Just breathe it in.
I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. I am opening. I stand here open in this gift of an opportunity, in this sacred space. Each talk, each minister that are already ministers that get up here and open my heart a little bit more. Remind me a little bit more of who I am. Remind me to love. Remind me that the quantum field is infinite. I know that creativity resides in this amazing group of people. I know that this truth is deeply rooted in who they are and comes out and expresses eloquently with the magnificence and the sacredness of this moment. I am grateful to be an honorary member of this ministerial class. Grateful for each person who has touched my life in such profound ways, for the messages, for the love, for the honest sharing, the connection, the willingness to grow, the willingness to evolve, which is the consciousness of ministry. In gratitude, I stand united with each and every one of you, one as each and every one of you, knowing that love, community, connection, consciousness resides here. And I anxiously anticipate and know that more brilliance continues to lie ahead and ahead and ahead in a very non-linear fashion. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I love each and every one of you. And with that, I release this word as law, knowing it is already done, as together we say, and so it is.
I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. I am open. I am opening. I am open. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive.
Beautiful.
Tiffany, 10s across the board.
Thank you, chocolate chip. Okay. I don't have a head on set on anymore. Okay, so as we start off this evening session, the gentleman that's about to come up here, everybody knows, is a very close personal friend of mine. I have known Rick Tamlin since he was an actor working at Cheesecake Factory. Back in the 1990s. And whatever this man does, he does full throttle. So he went in as a waiter at the Cheesecake Factory and ended up being the person that opened the Cheesecake Factories once they started turning into a conglomerate. And he could still be there today, probably a billionaire by this point, with all the stock he would have gotten. But he also knows this about this man. He knows when it's time for the next thing. He knows when his one thing needs to become another one thing. He is a very powerful man in the world of leadership. And when he decided to take ministerial, the thing I am most impressed about is that our friendship never got in the way of student-teacher relationship. And he put his nose to the grindstone and did everything necessary to get here tonight. And I am extremely proud of him. No idea what he's going to talk about, and excited to find out. So please welcome Rick Tamlin.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hi, everybody. Everybody take a big deep breath with me. Yeah, just take a, yeah, good. And home viewers, hello there, Rick Tamlin here. Okay, so, you know what, a little movement. I just go like this, just kind of do a little, like, we get the bodies going, right? Okay, good. This is going to be a little interactive. Some of you know my style. I tend to want to, I'm a little background for those of you that don't know me at home. I come out of the leadership development space, life coaching space, all that soft skills stuff, right? So the coach in me, becoming the minister in me, is always a little bit of a leap. I want to ask all of you how you are. I want to find out what's going on behind the curtain. So tonight's quote-unquote experiential talk is going to be a little bit looking into your life. I'm not going to talk about me too much. I'm going to have you think about you, okay? So the coach in me wants to grow you really badly. It's like a muscle that I cannot help, okay? You all into that? You all good with that, to kind of look inside? Okay, great. We're going to do it in an interesting way, I hope. You'll tell me if it's interesting after. So remember this show, Name That Tune? This picture, by the way, I think the first Name That Tune show, a little fun fact, I think it was 1953. I think way back when. So it's been around a long time. We're going to play a little Name That Tune. And of course, we have Tune Goddess of the Universe over here, right? And to ask her to play, by the way, to ask Amy to play something from a, what's it called? Sheet music is like painful. She just like improv, if you don't know. So Amy's going to play something, and I want you to just, when it's time, somebody who knows it, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand, and you'll name that tune. Ready? Oh, over here.
The Carpenters.
And say the song.
Love Steve.
500 points. Okay, good. One more, just because I can't help myself. Reverend James, by the Carpenters. Okay. So there's a little method to my madness here. So if you don't know already, some of you know me, I'm a bit obsessed with Karen and Richard Carpenter. And I understand, by the way, he lives out here. Is that right? Nearby. So I'm going to make sure I segue to why I talk about them. But anybody else a closeted Carpenter lover? In college, by the way, you had to be closeted about it. In 1980, he doesn't even know who they are.
She's an amazing drummer.
Yes. Yeah, she was an amazing drummer, right? I'm obsessed. I know more than you're supposed to know. I know where she's buried. I know the story. I know the mother problem. I know all the issues. It doesn't matter. What matters right now is I wanted to briefly get into this talk through them because they were clear. At 18 years old, and he was 19 years old, and the parents, they were on a mission. They were so clear that that talent needed a home. And they moved to California, and the rest is quote-unquote history. But backing up 1 second, they were told in Hollywood, get out of town, that is the awfulest sound ever. This was 1969. This will never sell. You know, a classic. Herb Alpert hears a little tape, and that voice, Karen's voice, goes through him, and the rest is history, right? And the story, there's a dark side to the story. We don't need to go there. We know how it ends. It's a little bit tragic, right? But the point of this is the clarity and the commitment that these two had about the life they wanted to create for themselves. And they went for it. And they went for it. So that's the doorway into, we're going to do a little bit of the title of my talk, based on the musical concept of the Carpenters and playing their song, if you will, is naming your tune, okay? Tune. Now, by the way, my creative self, I live, by the way, 25 feet away from a balloon store, which is a weird thing to say. I've never said that out loud ever. So yesterday, 2 days ago, I was jogging, and I went, I bet they have letters. So I just stopped in, and I said, I need to make this talk 3D. Okay, this is going, so you get the idea here, right? So we're going to play with the, before I jump into what tune means, I just want to say, this is Ernest Holmes. You all know this. Such a great line. I believe that heaven is within me, and I experience it to the degree that I become conscious of it. We all know this. We know this. And now I'm going to have you take a look inside through the word tune to actually raise the vibration of that truth. With me on that? Okay, great. So we're going to start off with the letter T. Tolerating. Little life coachy moment. Just want you to reflect inside yourself. Just scan the big arenas of your life. What are you tolerating? Relationships? A drawer in your kitchen that bugs you when you open it? That dent in the car when you look at it and you go, ugh. That conversation that you have with somebody that's the same and it just bores you to tears. And I mean no disrespect to the human condition here. Just scan. Just notice what you're experiencing and you're feeling as you look into the tolerating of your life. Because here's the cosmic consciousness, or the oh my gosh, what have we been studying for the last year? Quantum, thank you. Oh my God, big word. Quantum. The quantum field, when we are tolerating something in the quantum field, it takes our vibration down a notch. It just, you know that little even as you're thinking about your thing, can you feel that tiny erosion, like, ugh? And so I'm just asking you to take a look. And of course, you know, the coach in me wants to go, what do you want to do about it? We're not going to do that now. But consciousness of what you're tolerating is the doorway to freedom. Consciousness of what you're tolerating is the doorway to freedom. So that's the first part of the letter T. I have two letters for each thing here. Here's the second one. This one's, oh no, I love this. I forgot to underline this. John Brady, person I found online. We get what we tolerate. Just think about that. You get what you tolerate. What's so great about that is then we can take responsibility with that. That's not a problem. That's a consciousness gift. Good to go on that one? We're going on. Okay. This one's very obvious to a room full of incredibly high EQ, high emotionally intelligent, high spiritually intelligent room, but we want to underline this one. We cannot say it enough. What are you telling yourself throughout your day? T, what are you telling yourself? The second T in the T in this one is, what are you talking about to other people? I have a very simple concept that has gotten me into more corporate rooms in the leadership space than any other concept, and here's what it is. This is going to be obvious to this room. I invite you to go share it. 2 conversations are designing your life. 2 conversations are completely designing your life. The one in your head and the primary conversations you're having with other people. It's that simple. That's it. And that's the entire, you link it right to quantum, you link it to the quantum field, you link it to the energetic spiritual truth of who we really are. Those conversations are designing us as we speak. Very, very simple. Because what I love about hanging out with all of you this year is to be able to translate some of this stuff into one of my missions, and one of my one things, by the way, is to be a translator out into the world with this. I want IBM to understand this. I want my corporate space to understand what we're talking about here. So sometimes I boil these down to simple concepts that we know. But as what I love is this one, we got to remember this stuff. We hear it, but then we have to remember it. Okay, moving on. Let's go to you. Can you give me a you? You. So I want you to turn to your neighbor and go, you. You, no, you. And the you that I want to speak to here is, what do you need to uncover? What do you need to uncover? What do you need to unveil? What do you need to look behind the curtain of behind the curtain? One of my newest phrases right now is, what's behind the curtain of behind the curtain? And then I want you to think about it, and I'd love you to shout it out right now. What's an unword that you need to say out loud? I need to unburden, unwrap, unlearn. That's where we're going. You read my mind. There's always an onion. That's Kathy's book. What's the book title again?
How big is your onion? A journey to magnificence.
How big is your onion? So we're playing off of onion. You get it. Boom, boom. Anyway, the concept here is really very simple. What do we need to unveil? What do we need to unwrap? What do we need to undo? Look into the of life to reveal it so then I can become more conscious of it. Is again, when we are conscious with it, then of course we have volition and choice with it. It's the unconscious, subconscious part of our life that mostly runs our life, as we all know in this room. So that's uncover. Let's go to, this is the, thank you, Kevin. This is about unlearning. Just take a moment and just think about into your life, what do I need to unlearn? What have I learned that has not served me? Who passed on something to me? I know there's a hot topic in every human's life, is that our relationship with money is mostly learned. It has not actually been revealed. It has been passed on. How many of you have money stuff? Mostly learned. Yeah, in and out, right? But really, just take a moment and think about it. It's a great coaching question. What do I need to unlearn? Very different than what do I need to learn? Because here's the perspective I have about when I'm willing to unlearn and sort of release, then new can come in. Rather than I have to keep learning something new, I'm going like this. I'm chasing the learning. Rather than let me let go and see what wants to come in. Very different way to look at it. We're very addicted to learning, so this is a counterintuitive way to think about it. Anybody want to say something you want to unlearn out loud? Anything come to mind? That you don't matter. Good choice. Unlearn that. That there's a right way to do something. Right. Great. So that's the you. Let's now go, oh, this is turning into a mess. Let's go, give me a... Fabulous, it's working. Thank you, balloons, you're working. Okay, let's do a little... in the coaching domain, in the leadership domain, and in the, I dare say, making things real domain, I do believe in the power of naming something. Name it proudly. Name it boldly. I want this. I claim this. This is who I am. I get to have that boat. I get whatever it is. Because here's what happens. You all know this. I'm just reminding myself, and by the way, I'm telling it to myself just like I'm telling it to you. We think, if I name it, but I don't get it, there must be something wrong with me. Or we turn down the wanting of it because, what if I can't have it? Because the most challenging emotion for most humans to be with is disappointment. So if I don't want very much, I won't ask for very much, so that I can avoid being disappointed. Feel that loop? Because we got mad, sad, glad, pissed off, shame-based. We've got all those covered. Thank you, Brene Brown. But disappointment, we actually have to sit and go, okay, that didn't happen the way I wanted it to. And of course, in the consciousness of this room, if we get attached, we don't know how it's going to unfold. But I do know it is always unfolding for our highest good. We do know that. Can I just have that boat along the way is where it gets a little tight, right? We get a little attached. However, let's not be shy and not dare to name the life you want. Dare to name the car you want. This might sound a little odd. When I get really twisted about my money stuff, I live in Palm Springs now. I live right near all the car dealers. And I go for these walks. This is going to sound so weird, but I go and walk and look at the price tags of the most expensive cars in the lots. And Chevys, by the way, like the latest Chevy truck, I looked at the other one, went by the dealership the other day. It was $120,000 for a Chevy truck. I thought, here's what I normally do. Oh my God, that's ridiculous. And then I catch it. I go, good for them. Good for them. I have no idea what it costs to make that. They get to charge whatever they want, because here's the thing. There's only one of them on the lot. And because I asked the guy, he goes, yeah, we already sold 6 of them. So my money stuff gets projected all over that car lot. And I get to free myself and actually realize it's all made up. Money is all made up. So that naming it and claiming it, and of course the other word inside the N conversation here is now. We understand you have to claim it as now. Actor training years ago, we all learned it as actors. Act as if it's real in the moment. Be here now. This is happening now. This is my reality now. There's no time, there's no future, there's no past. In the quantum world, we all understand it's all here happening, all at the same time. So, name it, claim it, now it. Okay, let's now go to the final letter, E. I loved this distinction this year in the training Troward, Thomas Troward, one of the folks we had to read, the primary context, he believed in the power of spiritual prayer, affirmative prayer, which is called treatment, is beliefs. He had the beliefs context. And Ernest Holmes came along and said, yes, and he added emotion. He believed emotions are actually what make things more real. And so this is giving us permission to become, I'm giving myself permission, giving yourself permission to actually become more of a drama queen than you already are. And what I mean that in the most responsible way. We have such a culture that it's like, tone it down. Like, instead of going, oh my gosh, this is like you get to be whipped into a froth about how amazing that life can be. And oh my God, and I want to have that. And you let yourself go wild with it rather than be so contained about it, because emotion is infectious. We want to be around emotionally lit up people. We want to be around people who are living from this emotional state, because it's actually like a vibrational level. We talked about it earlier. That is like a force field. I want to be around that. Now, of course, the range of emotions, I'm not going to get into the whole, like it has to be upbeat all the time, but let us finally give ourselves permission to be the emotional range that we are as human beings, and stop cutting ourselves off from these incredibly rich emotions that we have, because they're useful, because we've been given them. And of course, we know this concept, emotion is energy in motion. It's that simple. So that's the E, one part of the E. And the final word I wanted to offer today in this interactive, a little bit interactive talk is experiencing for the E. I love what James does it. He models it. You and your husband modeled it. You've modeled it for me and my husband for years. Letting yourselves having really rich, full-on experiences, immersive experiences, you know, like flying first class, like letting ourselves really experience a level of living rather than only certain people get to have that. So it's a pretty simple concept, but I have work to do. This is the part I want to announce out loud. It's not a bad thing, but I have work to do on this one. Letting myself have rich, maybe, the rest of the culture would say that's an over-the-top experience. But letting myself do a 5-star hotel for 5 days in a row, and it costs $20,000. Oh my God. Because by the way, that $20,000 in 2 years is going to mean nothing. But that part of us that goes, when I get to, then I'll get to? I got to work on that. I'm talking to Chuck the other day. He's like, we got to go to Europe. I mean, we got to. There's some sort of not a block, but a consciousness of like, well, when I finally, then I will. You know what I'm talking about? So whatever that means to you is let ourselves take the bar up on the experiential part of life, because you all know this.
We get to our end of our life, we look back and we go, those are the experiences I had. Those were great. Rather than, all the stuff we have. So again, that experiential context. So that's the final E in, the final word in from the E thing. Because I want you to play your tune. And it's time to actually realize, and here's the truth about you as a tune, you have perfect pitch. Karen Carpenter had perfect pitch. So last night I was doing a final little research about this. There's something called relative pitch and perfect pitch. Relative pitch. We all know the relative in this world. For those of at home, I want to explain. On the relative level, what it means is you're actually at effect to other things. So relative pitch is finding the note based on another note. Perfect pitch. Perfect pitch is the absolute truth of who we are. You don't need another note to bounce off of. We are absolutely perfect. And so we all have perfect pitch. Karen Carpenter had perfect pitch. She would hear it once, and they'd go into a studio, and she would nail it, and that would be it. There's one song, by the way, that she literally sang off of a napkin, and it became a #1 hit, and they never had to record it again. One time, one take. So we have perfect pitch. We are perfect pitch because we are divine, we are connected, we are vibrating in that universal energy that is floating around, that is always in us, as us, through us, as we know. And it's actually pointing us in the perfect direction of whatever we want because we are the universe experiencing itself. And so there's one final tune that you must guess. Let's do a little sing-along. We've all just begun. It's paining, it's killing her. Pick up the pace. Promises. A kiss for luck and we're...
You named it. You named it and claimed it. So
I know.
It happened.
Here's the truth. You can keep playing. Thank you. We have only just begun. To my beautiful classmates in this front row, God bless you. The conversations we had, the confusion moments, what a glorious journey. And I just want to share this at home with all of you. I invite you to go on an amazing journey with people into a deeper conversation of the life you want. Go find people, go have that conversation. Because the deeper the conversation, the deeper the life. God bless you. More to come. Namaste. Perfect pitch.
Okay. Thank you, Rick.
T-U-N-E. Name the tune that's playing as me. Can I see what's guiding me? Is it time to release and unlearn old stories? I said T-U-N-E. Name and claim my destiny. Yeah, can I see all the possibility? Oh, one day I'll own $120,000 SUV. Oh yeah, T-U-N-E. Name that tune that's playing as me. I have perfect pitch. I'm claiming it.
I have perfect pitch.
I have perfect pitch. And guess what? It's all made up, so fill your cup. this moment now. Act as if that's how. No future, no past. Just ask to fly first class. T-U-N-E. Name that tune that's playing as me. It is perfectly, perfectly, perfectly me. Oh yeah, name that tune that's playing me. Yeah. T-U-U-N-E. Feel that emotional energy. Can I feel it? Can I feel it? Oh, what's guiding me? We say, I believe, 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 I believe. T-U-N-E. Name that tune that's guiding you and me. We have perfect pitch, perfect pitch. Your life is perfectly pitched, perfect pitch, perfect pitch, perfect. Your life has perfect pitch, perfect pitch, perfect pitch. Your life has perfect pitch.
Do you like this one?
Are they still talking?
Are you good about this one?
they still going?
Are you all done, you guys? We're just still going. You're done. Okay. Everybody take a deep breath. I can't. Did you not know that Karen Carpenter song? We've only just begun. Karen Carpenter. Rick so loves Karen Carpenter that once he convinced me to drive. Where did we go? To the Carpenter Center in Long Beach to watch a concert that Richard Carpenter gave. Now, you know he wasn't really the singer in the group, but he brought Karen in, and we both sat there, and he was doing duets with her. You know, she died years ago, and I remember Rick turning to me going, "Is this weird?" I was like, "It's a little weird." He's doing a concert. He's trying to relive the Carpenters, but she still looks like her young self, and he was not so much. Jonathan? What was the song she sang off the napkin? Yeah, what song did she sing off the napkin? Superstar. Oh. Any other questions? How's it go? Oh, yeah. That was it. Long ago. Yes. Okay. Next up, onto our fabulous stage here tonight. So this young lady also I met when I went to Palm Desert, and she had also just become a practitioner, one of the new crop of practitioners, and she wanted to step into the advanced consciousness class, and then I spent a year with this woman in advanced consciousness class, and I have to say, my greatest teachers in life have been challenges. Jonathan was a challenge. Tiffany continues to be a challenge. You know, there have been people that poke the bear, and that don't take what I'm saying as absolute truth. And they just say, yeah, that doesn't work for me. Amy's like this. Oh my God, I have another year with her. People that just say, you know what you just said, I'm not right, I'm not vibing with that. I don't believe that. And that's good. And so I spent a whole year with this young lady in the advanced consciousness class, going back and forth with what she believed and what I was understanding from what we were studying. And then I made it through unscathed, the best of my ability. And then she announced she was taking ministerial. And I almost retired, right on the spot. And, but something inside of me said, you need her. She's here for a reason. Because you see, I believe everyone's in your life for a reason. And everyone is God. And therefore, and I also believed I'm probably the teacher for her because I'm going to be, she's so much like me. We have this thing that I'm going to give her back what she gives me. And she's the only person to date that I have muted on Zoom in the middle of a talk or talking to me. It just went back and I just went. And when I did it, I was like, oh, I can't believe I did that. But it felt good. All this is to say, she's a very smart lady, and she has a lot of insight, and she doesn't accept bullshit. And that's why I have great respect for her and for how far she has come. So please welcome Adair Fell. Do you have your microphone?
Yes, actually.
Oh, I do? Oh, sorry. There it is. Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's get up here. Does that sound relaxed? Microphone. Oh, yes. Okay. Here we are. I've gone through quite a few reiterations of this talk. In fact, the one you're hearing has been in the last hour and a half. So I want to share with you. Over the last couple of weeks, a number of people who I might run into on a trail that I walk every day have talked, how are you doing? They know that I'm doing this ministerial and there were exams. And finally, I've begun hearing quite a bit of, well, what exactly are you doing this for? And I didn't really think I could answer on the trail, but I've been thinking about it quite a bit. And then I ran into an old friend who's really been an old friend since for the last 4 years between practitioner and ministerial training, I really haven't had time for. And she said to me, but Adair, why are you doing this? What are you doing this? What are you doing this for? And I've really been thinking about that. And the answer is, I'm doing it because I want my life and the time I spend day to day to be involved with something of value. I want to be of value, and I want to contribute to people, and I always have. And I wasn't always supported in that by my family. When I was in middle school, middle school, I announced that I wanted to be a social worker. My mother said, no, you don't. You want to spend your time in those dangerous neighborhoods? In those awful apartments that are probably horribly grimy and smelly? And I thought to myself, ooh, that doesn't sound so great, especially that smelly part. And I think that really had an effect. But whatever it was, I really thought at the time, well, you mean I guess I don't want to do that? It really doesn't sound that great. Okay. So then a few years later, in high school, I announced I want to be a special education teacher. And my mother laughed again and said, but you're not even a good student. And we don't even know if you're going to go to college. And I thought, oh, yeah, right. Well, okay. Eventually, I did finish college with a degree in psychology, and I went into actually human resources, where I felt I could contribute to people. But I became a recruiter on commission. Boy, I'll tell you, doing anything on commission can be a burnout. And I was confused. What do I want to do? How can I contribute? And who am I? And I found the answers when a friend brought me to the Science of Mind, Church of Religious Science, Chicago, Water Tower Place, Carlton Whitehead. He was very old school. He was an oratorical speaker, if you know what that is. The boys stood on the burning deck, that kind of speaker. But he was really amazing. I believe he'd been an actual student of Ernest Holmes. And he knew it. You knew he knew. You knew he knew what he was talking about. And he made life possible, that we could create our lives, that we are beloved individual expressions of something that's divine. I took that in, and first, in terms of the burnout I mentioned as a recruiter on commission, actually I was a professional interviewer. When you become experienced as an interviewer and a recruiter, you know within the first 5 minutes if the person you're talking to is going to be one of your candidates. And unfortunately, somebody may have just traveled for 2 hours to get to this interview, and you can't just say, oh, after 5 minutes, it was very nice meeting you, thank you for coming, we'll let you know. No, not after 5 minutes. You know, you have to give them at least a half an hour. That's hard to do, quite honestly, when you're busy and you could be doing something productive with your time. It's going to get you paid that week. But with Science of Mind, I learned how to shift the experience into one where, in fact, I was contributing. So the game I played with myself, with every person who interviewed with me, was, is there one thing I can give to this person that will help them on their job search? And that was my game. And that made me listen and want to listen to everyone that I met. And I went on and had a really pretty long, successful career. And it was always rewarding. Another answer to the question, why am I doing this? Why become a minister? Well, I had a conversation only last week with my massage therapist that I've been going to for 4 years. And we've gotten, you know, it's pretty dark in there, and you really get into some heavy conversations. It's a pretty intimate kind of a situation. And he was talking about himself, and he was saying, and he said to me, I can't give you the exact context, but something about, I have to put it that way, loneliness and feeling empty. And I really didn't reply to him. First of all, my mind, I went a million places with that. But where it's really gone is how profound that issue is. We talk about fear, we talk about breakups, we talk about lack of monetary rewards and feeling of success. But I began to realize, bingo, really the issue is that emptiness, that hole that everyone is trying to fill. That's what everything is all about. That's what the big truck is about. That's what the big house is about. That's what we're all about, including wanting to be a minister, including wanting to be anything. We're all filling ourselves. We're all filling that empty space. And of course, I know people here and myself feel the reward is filling that with something of value. And science of mind is something of value. It can teach, if we can help support people in filling that hole by letting them know how divine they are, how incredible this whole life is, and that we get to create our lives. I think that's the best thing that we can fill that hole with. And if I can be of support to people in that way, as a minister, that is of value. And so I'm thinking, how am I planning on being of value as a minister? I'm not really planning on being a podium minister. I really dread public speaking and have a great deal of difficulty with that. And have I felt called? Well, I really haven't felt called. Not in the way I think of being called, but I'm called by the people at the center in Palm Desert who I know just appreciate seeing the practitioners and the ministers there every week. There's something about being there every week. They see us as part of the center. And even just that is contributing. They want to see us there every week. We're like familiar to them, part of the center. And when we smile, when we know who they are and we welcome them, that's contributing. Beyond that, when I think about, what are you doing this for? A great part of it is to be in a room with people like you, to have the experience that I'm able to partake in today. Hearing these talks, just knowing and feeling the beauty of all of your spirit. I want to be with you. And that's why I'm doing this. Thank you. It wasn't 15 minutes, was it? I don't think it was 15 minutes.
I love you, Adair. What do I want to do? What do I want to contribute? Who am I? And what can I give of value? Why am I on this path? I ask myself, why am I taking this road? Is it out of loneliness, just to fill the hole? If I can help people to see the gift of their divinity, then I can be beauty. I can be a bounty of beauty. That's what you are to me. I am present, I am here, I am showing up, I care. I want to give, I want to be with you, I want to be with you, yeah. And if I can help people see, if I can help people see their own divinity, then I can be a bounty of beauty. I can be of value. I can be me. Oh, oh, oh. What do I want to do? What do I want to contribute? Who am I and what can I give of value? Why am I on this path? Why am I taking this road? Do I just want to feel whole? Well, if I can help people to see the gift of their divinity, then I can be a beacon of light and beauty. I am present, I am here, I am showing up, I care. I care, I care, I care. I care, I care, I care. I care, I care, I care. I want to be with you. I want to be with you. I care. I care, I care, I care. I want to be with you. What do I want to do? What do I want to contribute? Who am I? And what can I give of value? I care. This work has value. Each of you have value. I care, 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 I care.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Adair. And thank you, Amy. I care about you. Yes. Okay. Moving right along. Does anybody need a pee break? You all good? We'll take a break, maybe. Do you need to pee? Good. Okay. We'll do one more, then we'll take a little break before our finale. Okay. So, it's very interesting that Adair came up here and said, you know, why am I doing this? I would imagine, have every one of you had that question? Like, why am I doing this? Yeah, 100 times, right? Have you had that question? It was never a question whether you were doing this, but, I mean, if in fact, part of the reason why you're all here is because she was like a dog with a bone saying, we're doing this. You're teaching this. I don't care when. You're teaching this. But it's a really important question that actually I believe Reverend Nancy could be asking Karen, Eric, Jonathan, Rita, myself, Tiffany, all of us. Thor, why am I doing this? Why do I do this? You know, when you talk about filling something, it is interesting because Sundays here at this center, on this stage, in this room, there is something that is filled up. There is something that is just profoundly alive in this sanctuary. And I don't find that everywhere. And there is a, you know, as I'm driving here, as I pull into this lot, it's just, you feel it starting. And that's just an amazing feeling. So this next gentleman who's coming up here to speak, I can say for a couple of years maybe, I shared a stage with, on Friday nights, doing soul immersion, which is, originally was a part of Welcome Home, and then of course COVID hit, and then we took it to the stage. We actually did it on stage first, then COVID hit, and we took it online. We went back and started doing it. Now we do soul immersions. They do their version of it in Palm Desert now. I think it's called sound immersion. And now we do the original soul immersion here, and we will start doing it in Palm Springs. And David started where he just had a bowl. Was it just a bowl in the beginning? And every other week, he'd come back with another bowl, and then another bowl, and then a gong the size of this wall, and then all of these instruments, and just little by little, it was like it took him an hour to bring everything in from the truck. Speaking of a truck, we'd pull up in his truck, and all these bowls and instruments and percussion instruments. And that really became his ministry. Because, again, I wasn't sure he was going to step into ministry or take ministry. But it made sense when he said, I want to do more than just, you know, play the bowls. I want to pursue this. So it's been a real honor to have him as a student, to have him as a colleague, to watch all the talents that he has bubble up and percolate and just become this kind of warm. And it's interesting, too, because I only knew him online for a while until I finally met him at the center. And I have to say, there is a solid seriousness that is soft and loving. And, you know, it's interesting when Eric was up here talking about his dulcet voice and his quiet voice, David also has that quality of someone who's just speaks profoundly with a soft, definitive flair. So please welcome to the stage David Flint. Yep, it does. It pulls out.
Well, we're getting close. I want to say hello to everybody who's watching. There we are. Engineering happiness. That's first, the idea of engineering happiness first came to me when I was in high school. I found a book called The Conquest of Happiness by Bertrand Russell. And I had known a little bit about Bertrand. He was one of the founders of analytic philosophy. And so I read his book, and it was really a lot of tactics, a lot of strategy about how to avoid the malaise that was going to inevitably happen in everyone's life. And my mother got very concerned about the title and asked me if I really thought happiness was something to conquer. And of course, I don't remember what I said, but I'm sure I said that it was. And as far as I knew about Bertrand and his philosophy, pretty much everything in the world was to be conquered, or he might say mastered. And I'm standing in front of you today older than Bertrand was, older than my mother was, and having lived a little bit of life and certainly experienced plenty of malaise. I will tell you that he was right about the malaise, but he wasn't right about happiness. My mother had such a worried look on her face. I'd like to go back in time. Really, the idea of conquering happiness is kind of like going to war to conquer peace. You know, you might, and we do that. But, you know, peace is only going to last for a while until some form of war shows up again. And it's the balancing of life, the balancing of you know, our collective conscience in compensation. Another way of looking at it would be that you may be a master player at chess, and you may be a master strategist, move it around, and have happiness show up when you're, you know, when you're dominating or when you're winning. But real happiness, consistent happiness, is really in the love of the game. And, well, there are actually people, it surprises me, but there's quite a few of them out there, who don't really believe that happiness is a worthy goal. We read a book called The One Thing by Mark Keller during our ministerial, and towards the end of the book, he quotes a screenwriter by the name of Leo Roston. And Leo says, "I cannot believe that the purpose of life is to be happy. I think the purpose of life is to be useful, to be responsible, to be compassionate, and above all, to matter, to count, to stand for something, to have made something, to have made a difference that you lived." It's quite profound and passionate. But I have to say about purpose, whatever it is for anyone, however anyone uniquely sees purpose, if it has meaning in your life, if you are pursuing a purpose that has meaning, or you're actively doing this purpose, there is, for most of us, a feeling that goes along with this, of satisfaction, of fulfillment. And I'm going to call that happiness. And there's a happiness quotient that always kinds of gets dismissed for a lot of us. People make decisions, large and small, pizza toppings or life partners. And there's an expectation of how that's going to feel. You know, if I was going to say what is, you know, true happiness, I might say it's more of a consistent state of being. It's not so much doing. it's not so much about anything on the outside. It's not a consequence of conditions. It's inside. It's a completely inward journey. And the journey is to find that essential self, that natural self. That's so, it's just like as natural as children playing together and finding joy together. I'm not suggesting that we go back and find innocence, but that we become wise, that we remember who we are. We rediscover who we are. And science of mind teaches us that if you want to have an experience, you have to embody the experience. You have to, you have to envision and become the experience. But can we do that if we're unhappy? I'm not sure. I'll leave that one up to you. But to me, I don't think we can fake it till we make it on this one. I think whether it's happiness or love or peace, these are all archetypes of the absolute. That is who we are, essentially. And in this essence, are we expressing this in our daily lives? Is this something that we're experiencing? And my answer to that, for that kind of question, universally is no, because the problem is our thinking. We think dualistically. We think that there is, most of us, we think that there is this self and a separate reality out here. And that's an illusion, of course. That is what's causing most of the problems. It's causing the unhappiness. Because a lot of times that world out there is not cooperating, and that self is fighting it and resisting it and trying to control it and using techniques or using strategies to try to reform it. But the real deception here is that is trying to control it is separate than that is trying to control. And that deception is created by and perpetuated by the egoic mind, which I guess I could simply define as an attachment to thought. Now, I've explained the egoic mind a number of times, and most people's eyes get glassy. So I'm just trying to make a very basic idea here, that the world's coming in from the outside, the world that's the object, and the mind, and what I'm going to call the mind is the brain and thought. It's all, in my talk, the same thing. And it's coming in to the subject, which is the mind. And as soon as it is, all the historical reference goes right on top of all the input that's coming in. Now the mind is its own object, because it's its own history that it's bringing in. So it's both subject and object. And this is this perpetuating constant cycle, an automatic pilot of constantly laying history on everything that's coming in. In other words, it's looking at the present through the lens of the past. Probably more accurately, it's projecting itself. Its narrative is a constant narrative, including everything that's coming in. So it's really just one big reinforcement cycle of pulling everything into it and judging everything as part of it, and it's an ongoing conditioned and reconditioned and reinforcing mind. I say that in very general, we are consciousness, and the consciousness that looks at this is usually entranced with it and it's very much unconscious. And, all of us are at various levels of awareness about this. But it is this self, this egoic self, that is this conditioned mind. And it is what's looking for happiness. And it's looking outside for happiness. It's looking at relationships. It's looking at possessions. It's looking at purposeful activities. It's looking for anything outside that can be attached so it can get away from its own cycle. So it's the one that creates unhappiness, its own duality, and it's looking for happiness, which makes a lot of sense, because who's going to look for happiness except for unhappiness? that old Zen saying that you can't find happiness by seeking it. It's really not the seeking it, is it? It's the seeker. And it sounds like the ego is getting picked on here quite a bit. I guess it is. But the ego is not some sort of cosmic mistake. The ego is a product of emergent evolution. The brain is just like any organ in the body. It's dedicated to the survival of the whole organism. And the ego was an adaptation. It was a psychological construct, to an answer to a time when our objective thought was, or kind of new through language, the development of language and how it was changing and complicating our society. And the mind created a budding psychological self. And its survival technique was the ego. The reinforcement does a good job. But there are a number of, I guess, disciplines out there, practices that a number of people are doing. They're stepping away from the trance of the ego. And it's generally just as making a space, just making a pause to observe their own egoic thought process. And Eckhart Tolle tells us that if we can just step back and observe objectively without making a judgment, because if we make a judgment, we go right back into the egoic process. But if we can just delay our automatic response to things and observe it, the egoic process literally stops. That whole cycle stops. And all we're looking is old patterns of conditioned thought at that particular point. And the more we get talented or skilled at looking at ourselves and the process of our thoughts that are going through us and how we're reacting to them, the more we begin to be able to accept the moment. And that is the quantum leap of engineering happiness. Because, I mean, let's say, for instance, I'm getting annoyed. And I'm in some situation, there's something, all this stuff's coming in from the outside, and I'm getting annoyed, and then all the historical annoyance that, might even be the same guy standing there. Now I'm going from, 0 to 60 in my accelerated annoyance, but I practice accepting the moment. I just take a pause. It's me that I'm looking at. I'm observing myself for a moment instead of the compulsive reaction. So how's that change things? Well, it's a whole spectrum of possibilities. Either it's a non-issue, or at least I've taken a lot of the intensity out of it. But what I've also done is started to reprogram the mind. I've started to reprogram what the history now is as far as the conditioned mind. I mean, when I say accept, I don't mean accept like it's okay. I mean, accept it for its reality and all of it. Because in the acceptance, you're feeling everything. You're hearing the narrative. You're doing it all, but you're doing it from a curiosity because you're experiencing your conditioning, your reality, and you're looking at it objectively. Eckhart Tolle tells us that we don't get unhappy because of what's happening. Our unhappiness comes from what we tell ourselves is what's happening. And we can't really know our essential selves if we can't look at the world as it's coming in its own reality, what we're making up and what we've made up in how we react to it. But as we do gain more ability to say yes to the world, yes to the moment, that egoic mind tends to, that space between the automatic reaction and the egoic mind, it opens up. So we see it more objectively. we're more and more living in the moment after moment after moment, accepting it as it is. This leads us to the potential of not only living in the now, but sustaining living in the now. And this now moment, there isn't any more tentacles of the egoic process, because the ego is only in the past. We're not conditioning the mind at all anymore. It's not even aware of us. We are the moment that is. There's no longer an outside. There's only the moment. We are the vitality, we are the life, we are the creativity, we are the essence of that moment. And in this place, there is this freedom of choice, a freedom of there is no template being laid upon us. There's the freedom of choices, accepting the moment and living in it. There's the freedom of accepting the moment and walking away, no hard feelings. There's the accepting the moment and changing it because we aligned with it. And we just let it through its own creative process. And this freedom, this love, this is creating from happiness. Somebody once asked Krishnamurti, I don't know if you know who he is, but at one time, like first half of the century, quite a bit of the international population thought that he was the second coming. But anyway, when he was older, someone asked him what was the secret to his happiness. And he said, "Nothing bothers me." And I think there's a big chunk of humanity right now that is crossing over or about to cross over into that vividness of the now, eternal now. Consciousness has been rising in a number of ways around the world. But we're still listening to the whispers of emergent evolution that's really telling us that we don't have a lot of time to tolerate this separation that we have. We certainly see a lot around us. The separation from the world, from each other, from everything in the world. And I think it's ours to do is to let go of this dualistic, egoic mind. It's not easy, it's some work to do, but I think it's our survival that's at stake here. I think we have to learn how to accept the world and be the world and know the world as ourselves. Because if enough people can do that, if enough people can live in this world together as one, I think we can create a new mind and create a new world. Albert Einstein said, "The world we have created is a product of our thinking. It cannot be changed until we change our thinking." Thank you.
We say be happy, we don't say do happy. We say be happy, we don't say do happy. I'm dancing in the trance don't mind. Step back and observe what the eagle's wild ride. I'm looking, make me see. The quantum leap is leading me to true happiness. We say be happy, we don't say do happy. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah. It's the moment, it's the peace, it is release into the present. See, awareness is reality from a place of curiosity. Objectively, we cannot see the truth without our history. The ability just to release the stories, the glories, more and more into the moment to moment ecstasy. And this could be happy. We don't say do happy. We say be happy. Yeah, we don't say do happy. We don't do happy. No, we just be happy. Oh, we are creative. We are the essence. We are the presence. If we allow this moment to moment, this moment to moment, right here, right now, we don't say do happy. We say to say be happy, right? We don't say I'm gonna do some happy. No, we say I'm just gonna be happy right here, right now. Engineering happiness. Engineering happiness. I'm engineering happiness. Right here, right now. There's no other place to make it. It's not already happened. It's not gonna happen. It's happening, happening. It's happening. I love that talk. You see, we say be happy. We don't say do happy. We say be happy. We don't say do happy. I'm gonna do some happy. I feel like doing some happy. No, I'm gonna be happy.
Brilliant. Okay, everybody, let's take 10 minutes. Please use the restroom and come back for our conclusion. right, everyone, come on back in, grab your chairs, grab your seats. Lasia, do you need the, you sure? Okay, okay.
Something I got when you said it is observing yourself observing. Observe the observing. Observe yourself observing. We're watching ourselves observe.
Yeah, it glaze over as many eyes this time, I don't think. There's a couple. We forgot, you told me that you wanted to.
All right, everybody. So it's pretty easy to, well, I've already kind of talked about our next, and our closing, our final speaker, when I described her as a dog with a bone. Yes. So Lasia Kohut she began as a student of Jonathan Zen's. And then Jonathan abandoned her. And yes, she did. She had to move to Victoria. Yes. And then I was awarded custody of Lasia. And she's become a very big part of the Global Truth Center and very active part of the Global Truth Center, and made her way through classes, through practitioner classes. And truly, and I really mean this, truly, I wasn't really planning on teaching ministerial again. I know I say that all the time, and everybody thinks I'm kidding, but I really wasn't kidding. I was not planning on teaching ministerial again, and I really did do it because this woman needed me to. And then everything came into perfect divine right order. She is audacious, she is daring, she has incredible integrity, she has a very clear, deep heart, and she knows what she's all about. So let's give it up for Lasia Kohut.
Okay. I have to say what I thought, felt as soon as Rick handed me the mic. Heavy is the hand that holds the mic. Today has been a day. We started at 8 in the morning, for those of you online who don't know. And it has been a day of enrichment, of expansion, of evolution, of insight, of wisdom. And I feel so honored to be on this stage right here, right now, alongside these brilliant minds, hearts, and souls. I cannot tell you. Anyway, we have heard about purpose. We have heard about meaning. We have heard about value. We have heard about vibration. We've heard about quantum in a few different ways. And we've heard about relative and perfect pitch. Thank you for that reminder, Rick. And what I would like to talk about a little bit more is something that has also been talked about today, and that's love. Ernest Holmes, one of my favorite definitions for love. Love is a cosmic force whose sweep is irresistible. Just feel that in your body for a minute. Irresistible. You can't not indulge in it. Ralph Waldo Emerson says love is the highest word. It is the synonym for God. And so what I want to talk to you about today, what I'd like to tell you about today, is the 3 key elements in my life that have informed me about love. And so the first one is people. There have been key people who have been essential to informing me about what love is, the love that I am, what it means to show up as love, to give, to receive, to immerse myself in love. The first person is my mom. My mom, for whom the greatest love in this world was to be a mother. And now we play second fiddle to the grandchildren because it's all about the grandkids. But still, for her, that loving energy that is within each and every one of us, for her, that is the highest thing. It is the most beautiful, loving way to be of service, to show up, to connect. And then there was my dad, a different situation. And because of the relationship that I had with my dad, I actually learned very early on to question love, to wonder whether I was actually lovable or even worthy of love. And then there is my husband, who is here today, someone who cracked open my heart in ways that I didn't even know were possible. And then my teacher and mentor, Dr. James, who challenged me, stretched me, continues to challenge and stretch me into understanding and just grasping this incredible, amazing profundity of who and what we are. Love only, right? And just because this is the end of ministerial studies, it doesn't mean that the end of that understanding is today or this weekend. This is something that is continuing on and on, unfolding, unfurling, emerging, expanding more and more and more every single moment of every single day. And I know it's not just for me. I know it's for everyone here, everyone online, at least to some degree. But the most important person for me, who has informed me about love in my lifetime, this lifetime that I'm aware of at least, is my daughter Milana. But before I tell you about why she has been such an integral person in my life, I want to tell you, because some of you here don't know, that I was in the food business for 20 years. Before I went into spiritual and consciousness study, I worked as an eco-pastry chef. Back when we lived in Toronto, I actually opened Toronto's very first organic, sustainably minded pastry and chocolate shop. Dr. Jonathan Zenz was actually one of my clients. And when we went to the CSL Toronto for the first time, I actually realized, oh my gosh, there are so many people here who are my clients, which was so amazing. But anyway, at LPK's Culinary Groove, which was the name of my bakery, in the kitchen, we had what's called a hood, which was part of a fire suppression system. It's the thing that covers the ranges and the ovens and maybe the baker's racks, just in case there's a fire. This stuff will go down and will squash out the fire. This hood was a focal point at the LPK's kitchen and part of the LPK's culture. Because what happened very early on was whoever came through that kitchen, whether it be an intern, a volunteer, an employee, during their very last shift, at the end of their shift, they would write something about how much they appreciated and valued or how meaningful their time was, whether it was just 6 weeks during an internship or whether they had been there for several years. And so a few months after seeing a bunch of employees and interns and volunteers write these beautiful messages or doodles or drawings or whatever, Milana decided that it was her turn to write something on there. She wasn't going anywhere, but she just wanted to leave her mark on there. And so this is Milana at 3, okay? She wrote this when she was about 7, though. I love LPKs, I love everyone that works here, and I love me. And that's why this is the person who has been the most integral person to inform me about love. She knew who she was from the moment she was born, and she has been that way up until now. If I have ever doubted anything about myself, I could look to her and I could be blown away by this little nugget, that little peanut at 3.5 years old in that picture, who has always known exactly how powerful, how capable, how incredibly infinite she is. Milano dякую. That's thank you in Ukrainian. Now, the second thing that has informed me about love is music. This is a quote by Sufi mystic Hazrat Inayat Khan, who was also a very accomplished violinist. What makes us feel drawn to music is that our whole being is music. If we haven't been moved by music today with Amy and Dr. James and all of us singing along and chanting and all of the spontaneity that has been happening after every single talk, I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, our mind and body, the nature in which we live, the nature which has made us, all that is beneath and around us, it is all music. Now, I grew up in a household that was filled with music. My mom was a singer, and to this day she sings. Not professionally, but she still has one of the most beautiful, richest voices that resonates and just touches my soul so deeply. My dad was also a musician, except music is something he actually gave up because his parents said, you might want to try something more practical because you'll never make it as a concert violinist. But at least at the end of his life, because he loved music and it was something that could not leave him alone, it was a call on his heart so profound. And for him, it was sacred because it was a huge, huge, profound connection for him to God. In the last few years before he died, he sang in 2 choirs in Ukraine. One was with a monastery choir with monks. And for him, singing sacred liturgical music in a monastery was as close as he could get to God in his lifetime. Now, music is also something that brought my husband Glenn and me together. And I now remember that there was a comment that he made very early on when we first got together, how he so appreciated and valued how my love for Tom Waits' music opened the door to his heart so that in turn he could have the key to mine. And then just being Ukrainian, music is such a huge part of our culture. It is how we connect. It is how we celebrate. It is how we acknowledge our motherland. We sing in church. We sing around campfires. We sing in schools. We sing on buses on the way to places. We sing in each other's homes. I remember so many nights when my sister and I were little and our parents would have parties with their friends and they would be singing and playing their instruments till 4 a.m. while my sister and I were trying to go to sleep. But it was about celebration and connection and about love. Now, the third thing, and the thing that probably is the biggest influence or informer of love for me so far, is my spiritual and consciousness studies. And I think that on some level, everyone who is here today can relate to that in some way. Now, Dr. James already mentioned that Dr. Jonathan, who was Reverend Jonathan back then, was my very first teacher. And while we were still in Toronto, but already knew that we were moving across the country to Victoria, I went into my very first Foundations for Better Living class. And I think it was about 5 or 6 classes in when we arrived in Victoria when I experienced the call to ministry. Dr. Jonathan was leading us through a visioning, and it was my very first one. I had never experienced something like that before, and the instructions were just listen to the questions and allow. Don't look for any answers. Don't try to make sense of anything. If you want to write something down, go ahead, but just open up your heart and your mind and allow. And so the question was, what is my highest purpose? What is the highest vision for my life, or what is my soul's purpose? And as I closed my eyes, I didn't even have to wait very long because a very simple but profound message came up. 2 little words, to love. That's it, to love. Now, I had no idea what this would mean at the time, and it has taken me 7 years almost to get a better understanding of what that means. I mean, it was questioned today, what is love? We talk about love only every week. We immerse ourselves in experiences to activate, to touch the love that we are at the very, very core, the very center, the very epicenter of our soul. But what does it really mean to love? And so for the past 7 years, I immersed myself in the teachings of science of mind. I took my foundational classes. I went through practitioner studies. I went through advanced consciousness studies. I went through ministerial studies. And I have been of service to various communities. I'm even the founder, along with my husband Glenn, of a place in Victoria, a spiritual community called the Center of Love. And so for me, this journey to love, to showing up as love, to rediscovering the love that I am, to giving love, to seeing everyone and everything, no matter how crusty or salty or chewy the situation or individual might be, that at the very core of all of that is love only. That's been the work for me for the last 7 years. However, it wasn't until the last few months of this last year of ministerial studies that I really began to understand the profundity of that statement. And so the title of my talk today is The Greatest Thing You'll Ever Learn. But before I tell you what that is, I want you to note that little picture, and if you haven't guessed already, that's me. That's me at 3 months old, apparently already ministering to Jungle Book animals in my crib. But the reason that I chose this picture for this slide is because there are two other things that have informed my ministerial studies experience this past year. One of them is something called positive intelligence. And positive intelligence is something, it is a coaching paradigm that I use with my clients. It is something that is so in line with science of mind because it is all about reprogramming or reframing or shifting perspective from a saboteur or judge perspective, which really end up being these simple archetypes of negativity that are part and parcel of our personalities, to moving from this back part of the brain to the front of the brain to our sage perspective. And when we are in our sage perspective, that's when we are grounded in the present moment, in who and what we truly are, in the love, the infinite possibilities of the love we are and what we are capable of being. And so there's a visualization exercise in positive intelligence, and I got to tell you, it came up this morning after my meditation when I was doing my very first positive intelligence exercise. The name of the exercise was Remember Who You Are, and talked about how using a picture of yourself when you're younger than 13 years old, before the roles, the labels, the expectations, all of life gets piled on and we forget. Going back to find a picture where you can recognize the pure wholeness, the beauty, the love, the potentiality, the true nature of who and what you are. That's what that picture is for, and that's what that visualization exercise is for. And that's the picture that I chose to visualize for myself. Now, the other thing, and Dr. James mentioned it already today, is the class that he just finished teaching from Wednesday night. He called it Putting It Together, but really, when I think about it, I just think about Radical Acceptance, because that's the book by Tara Brach that we read. And there are a few people here that were in the class, and that class, when he announced that he was going to teach it, I thought, oh, it's 2 months before we finish ministerial. I need to have something else on my plate, like I need another hole in my head. But then when he taught the power class and I saw what it was going to be about, I thought, I have to take this class. I have to take this class because I need this class to help me to get rid of everything, every distraction, every emotion, every piece of baggage, everything that is weighing me down, everything that is keeping me from being the love that I truly am at my core. And so from the very first class, I began unraveling. I was crying. There was one day I was standing at the kitchen sink with Glenn, and I couldn't believe what was happening. I was so frustrated because I thought, I've been studying for 7 years. I've been reading the science of mind. I've been reading the books. I've been writing the thought papers. I've been practicing the stuff. I'm a spiritual mind treatment junkie. I have prayer partners like crazy, and I just have immersed myself in these teachings. But why does it feel like I'm still so stuck up in here instead of in here? Why does it feel like it's such an intellectual pursuit when we're talking about love and God and truth and oneness? And as I was talking and as I was crying and as I was so incredibly frustrated with this book that was just telling us to just be with everything and accept everything and just to, be with all of the yucky negative stuff that was coming up, which was so different from my experience of science of mind, all of a sudden, it hit me. That message that I heard earlier on that message that just bubbled up to love, whether it was incomplete at the time, whether I wasn't ready to hear the rest of it, whether it has evolved over the last 7 years, it wasn't just to love, it was to love me. And we heard today from Dr. Jonathan about how important self-love is. We heard from Sharon about quantum love. And so even though someone can show up, and I feel like I've been this way myself, of giving love to others, of seeing others as love, of being a loving parent, a spouse, a friend, a community member, even giving all of that love doesn't fill the hole that was just being talked about. The only way to fill that hole, to really connect, is to let go of everything. And I don't mean let go as in ignore. It means to just shift the focus on the love only that we truly are. And so for me, as I continue to process this, as I continue to move through this incredible, profound journey, I'm reminded also of the other message that came up when I was doing that visioning with Reverend Jonathan, which was, what's the best way that you can love? What's the best way to express this love that is coming up in this message? And when I experienced the call to ministry, it was to become a minister. And fast forward back to this moment where I'm at the sink and I'm crying and I'm frustrated. The head to heart thing is just not working. And then I realize it's not just to love, but it's to love me. I also realize that to become a minister was not so much about the minister part as it was about the becoming part. Because if I had not taken this 7-year journey over the past 7 years, even though, yes, I will likely become a minister, it was the 7 years of getting there. It was the courses. It was the frustration. It was the getting to the point in ministerial studies where I realized I want no more distractions. No TV till June. I want to get rid of negativity. I want to get rid of complaining. I want to get rid of frustration. I want to get rid of all of these negative feelings that are just whirling and swirling around me all the time. I want to get rid of it all because I really, 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 the monitor went out, really just need to understand how to love me. And so there is a quote. I'm just going to grab my paper since the monitor. Oh, thank you. In Tara Brach's book, in Mahayana Buddhism, the open, wakeful emptiness of awareness is our absolute nature. Our original nature is chainless, unconditioned, timeless, and pure. That's what we're talking about when we talk about love only. And when I looked at this and I thought to the next part of it, the science of mind and the intellectual part started to make sense to me. When we bring this awareness to the relative world of form, love awakens. What our mind recognizes as empty awareness, our heart experiences as love. The science of mind can be an incredibly intellectual pursuit. It can be all about intelligence and mind and training of thought. But if we don't do that, then we don't get to cultivate this awareness. And until we cultivate that awareness, it can be incredibly difficult to crack open our hearts, to really connect to that incredible, amazing profundity that we are at our core. So what's the greatest thing you'll ever learn? The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. Now, I don't know if anybody here recognizes those two lines, but they are from a song called Nature Boy by Eden Ahbez, which was made very famous by Nat King Cole and has been covered a bazillion times over. And so because we have been talking today about value and meaning and purpose and experience and expansion, I'd actually like to do an experiential with you. And so I invite you, whatever it is that you're doing, if you have devices in your hand, I invite you to put them down. I invite you to take anything off your lap, and I invite you to get comfortable and close your eyes. I invite you to bring your attention to your breath. Notice how it moves in and out through your nostrils. Notice how it moves in and out through your lungs. Perhaps notice the rise and fall of your belly or your chest. And as you settle into this rhythm of breath, I invite you to drop your focus and your attention down to your heart center. If it helps to bring someone to mind that you love wholly, purely, unconditionally, I invite you to do so. Because what we're doing here is we are raising our vibration. We are expanding into wholeness. We are divinely intertwingling. We are opening up to the love that each and every one of us is. And so as we do that, I invite you to listen to these words. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. Amy, want to sing it with me? The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. Okay, now what I'm going to ask you to do as Amy continues to play is just gently open your eyes and find a neighbor. Find a neighbor and turn to your neighbor. Okay? If you're sitting far away from someone, get a little closer. And what I'm going to do for those of you who don't know this song, I'm going to teach it to you. So I'm going to sing the line, you're going to repeat it. I'm going to sing the next one, you're going to repeat it. But as you do this, I want you to look into your neighbor's eyes. I want you to open up your heart, and I want you to give love to the person that you're looking at. Okay, so I'm going to sing the line, and then you're going to sing the line. The greatest thing you'll ever learn, is just to love, and be loved in return, and be loved in return. We're going to do that one more time this way, and this time, as you look into your neighbor's eyes, open up your heart, and this time I want you to receive, okay? Receive the love that is being reflected back to you in your partner's eyes. The greatest thing you'll ever learn, is just to love, and be loved in return, and be loved in return. Oh, you guys, beautiful. Okay, now I invite you to slowly face forward and stand up. And we're going to be where our feet are. Hold your hands on your heart. Open up your hearts, your minds, your souls, crack them as wide open as you possibly can, and we're going to sing it together 2 times, okay? The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. Bring it home, love only. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and In return, I invite you to stay standing, breathe, feel, know, remember. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. And so it is.
I love myself so much, so I can love you so much, so you can love you so much, so you can start loving me. I love myself so much, so I can love you so much, so you can love you, so you can love you so much, so you can start loving me, so you can start loving me. I love myself so much, how much? So I can love you so much. You love, I can love you so much. So you can start loving me, so you can start loving me. I have an idea.
What?
Who's the first person that gave their talk?
That would be Kathy Gardner.
Get up here, Kathy Gardner.
Come on
We're
up
all
here,
going to sing
Kathy.
this to you right now. Get up here. All right, everybody, we're going to sing it to Kathy. I love myself so much, so I can love you. So I can love you so much, so you can love you. So you can love you so much, so you can start loving me. Nick, come on up. I love myself so much. Give it to Nick now. So I can love you so much, so you can love you. So you can love you so much. Who is next? Come on up. So you can start loving me. Sharon, is it you? I love myself so much. Give it to Sharon now. So I can love you so much, so you can love you. So you can love you so much, so you can start loving me. So you can start loving me. Who is next? Kevin, I love myself so much, so I can love you so much. Let's speed it up a little bit. So you can love you so much, so you can start loving me. So you can start loving me. How about you, Holly? Are you coming up there? Myself so much, Holly, so I can love you so much, Holly. So you can love you so much, so you can start loving me. So you can start loving me. Tamlin, come on. I love myself so much, Rick Tamlin, so I can love you so much. So you can love you. So you can love you so much, so you can start loving me. So you can start loving me. Adair Fell, I love myself so much. I love, so I can love you so much. Clap it out. so you can love you so much, so you can start loving me. David Flynn, I love myself so much, I love, so I can love you so much, so you can love you so much. All right, let's hear. So you can start loving me. One last time. I love myself so much, so I can love you so much, so you can love you so much, so you can start loving me. I love myself so much, so you can start you so much, so you can love you so much, so you can start loving me.
Okay, everybody. You guys done, you three?
Yes.
Okay, everybody sit down for a moment. Let me talk about tomorrow for a second. First of all, congratulations to all of you. Oh, I love Kathy's feet so much. And I do love those sneakers. Okay, so tomorrow we're here at 8 o'clock for breakfast. Eric Overholtzer, Dr. Eric Overholtzer, will do our opening treatment. She's going to sing a song for us, which is You Are the Light. Amy, what did I say? I said Amy Steinberg. She's coming back tomorrow. Yeah, briefly. And then Reverend Dr. Tiffany Kartalian will start our day with a little talk. She'll be giving her talk tomorrow. We'll be judging her as well. And then at 9 o'clock, Reverend Dr. Jonathan Zenz will be giving his workshop. And that is, is it The Consciousness of a Minister? No, that's her. What is your workshop called? The Affiliation Circle. Great. Okay. And then after his workshop, we'll take a stretch, take a break, and then Reverend Rita will be doing her workshop, which is called what, Reverend Rita? Am I Called? There, that's what you were always asking for. We do that workshop. Then, after Reverend Rita's workshop, you will all be doing a stand and deliver. Each one of you will jump up onto the stage, and one of our panelists will ask you some question that you will answer off the top of your head. Don't study for it. You can't. Okay? Then we will have lunch. We will be serving lunch downstairs. After lunch, the afternoon is really free for most of you, except your panelists. Adair, you are first up at 1 o'clock. Then Holly Dickinson, just be downstairs. The panels will be taking place in my office, in my counseling office. Holly Dickinson at 1:45, at 2:30, David Flint, 3:15, Lesia Kohut, and then at 4 o'clock, Rick Tamlin. At 5 o'clock, we all meet at Pookie's for dinner. That is the Thai place, right across from Bollywood. It's called Pookie's. 5:15, we meet there. Okay, at the evening session, let me turn my page here. So the panels then begin again at 6. Nick, you are first up at 6 p.m. 6:45 is Sharon Guthrie. 7:30 is Kevin Resch. And then at 8:15, Kathy Gardner. Okay? Now, I will be in almost all of the panels, but I will not be a part of the panels. I am there purely to witness what goes on in the panel. But I'm not a reference. I'm not someone to look to or ask questions from, because I'm just there as a witness to it. But I will not be in Nick's panel. No, I'll be in Nick's panel. I will not be in Sharon's panel. And I will not be in Kevin Resch's panel. But Dr. Tiffany will be in those two panels so that someone is there witnessing, okay? Because at 7 o'clock, anyone who is not being paneled, meaning Nick and Sharon, and Kevin, of course. We start at 7 o'clock, soul immersion. Now that is going to be with the congregation and with all of you. Obviously, none of you are paying for this. The congregation will give their love donation. So this room will be cleared out, and there will be mats on the floor, and there will be bowls up here, and Scott Gabe will be here putting in all of his stuff. David also has his stuff, because you're here. You can be here with us since you've done your panel in the afternoon. Very different this time. The panels that you go through, you will not be told at your panel where you are. The panel is more exploratory, and as you saw, if you all read what I sent you and didn't wait to the last minute to read it, the following day, from 9:30 to 11, in the same order as your orals, you will be meeting in the same office, and you will be briefed on everything, and that's when you will be told the status of your ministerial panels. So that will happen on Saturday. Everybody will be noted, everybody will be knowing where they are, and then we have a closing ceremony in the sanctuary for all of us. And then you have the day free to play. And then 5 o'clock at my home, please be on time. There will be dinner served at my home for everybody. If you want to bring a bathing suit, you are welcome to bring a bathing suit. I have no idea what the weather's going to be like, but it's a beautiful pool and a beautiful jacuzzi. And then we will be leaving my house by 7 o'clock for a destination surprise for all of you. So it is dressy. I mean, you don't have to wear a gown, but it is cocktail chic. So be dressed for an event following dinner. Any questions? So that's the whole enchilada. I could have stopped after tomorrow night, but everybody clear on tomorrow? Yes? Everybody good? Okay. So I believe Reverend Jonathan, you are Dr. Jonathan, sorry. You are treating us out. Amy, could you give him some background music? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you totally can ride with me. Yeah. Can I leave you up here? Are you safe?
I don't know. I've never done this before.
Okay.
Just invite us all to set aside everything that has unfolded today and allow ourselves to be where our feet are. Just taking a breath and relaxing into a more open awareness in this moment. Here's what I know. There is God and nothing else. There is love and nothing else. There is and nothing else. And this is the core of each and every one of us. This is our identity, the isness that is life, that is love, that is light, that is peace, harmony, joy, understanding, wisdom. Rooted in this assured knowledge, I let myself acknowledge the blessings that have unfolded here today, knowing that I carry them with me from this point forward, that I have been inspired, and I trust each and every one of us has been inspired into greater awareness of something. We have each been touched by something that we carry with us, and I trust and know that it enhances our experience of life. And so for this, I allow an awareness of the profound gratitude that overflows, welling up from within, from that heart space. I feel it, I trust it, and I know that from this sense of gratitude, all is well. Life is magnificent. And we are, each and every one of us, a great contributor to the ultimate magnificence. And so, I simply let it be as I relax, release this word as law, trust it, and let it unfold in the forward momentum of this thing called life. And I invite us all to affirm this by saying together, and so it is.
Thank you, Dr. Jonathan.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, have a great night. See you tomorrow morning.